please welcome President and CEO of Open Doors USA, David Curry.
Hello, everyone. Would you please welcome my guest here today? We're going to have an interview with these two wonderful, courageous women. This is Ruiting Ren. Would you welcome her, please? And then Shakirah. Just a little bit about these two ladies. Ruiting is a member of the Early Rain Church in Chengdu, China. And since 2018, over 200 members of her church have been arrested, and her pastor, Wang Yi, has been sentenced to 9 years in prison. He's currently in solitary confinement for peacefully practicing their faith. And we're going to hear a little bit about her story in just a minute. And Shakirah is the founder of the Rohingya Women's Development Network and a leading advocate for the rights of Rohingya refugees. She was born in Burma, but she was forced to flee, and she's dedicated her life to aiding refugees like herself. So ladies, welcome. This area is an interesting area because you're talking about someplace with billions of Hindus, billions of Muslims, hundreds of millions of Christians. So there's a mix of people, and the minorities are being attacked here. We're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your experience with religious persecution. You're part of the Early Rain Church. What happened to you?
Yes, as a member of the Early Rain Covenant Church, our family was persecuted by the government with this church. So I still remember that night is a very cold night, and it's December 9th in 2018, and I got many messages that from some church member. They said the policeman was knocking on their door or calling them. And I also get some message like some church co-worker and our pastor were arrested. At the first, I just felt, actually the things just happened several times at that year. So I didn't think it's a really big deal at first. But very soon, I just find many church members was bothered by the policeman, and I just felt it was not really normal. And I tried to find one of my friend who was also arrested by the policeman. But on the way I went to find her. I just find many members just disappeared. Maybe last second they were sending message to me, but next second they just disappeared, and I know they were arrested by the policeman.
Now, why was your church, of all the churches, why was your church targeted?
Actually, our Pastor Wang Yi, he was a human rights lawyer before he became a pastor, and he is also really famous at writing. He writes couple famous books.
So he was well known and sort of, had the attention of the Communist Party, and that might have been one of the reasons why your church was attacked.
Yeah, I think so, and I also think the persecution is not only mean to our church, it's mean to all the churches in China, but just the Early Rain and Pastor Wang is a sign, is a stamp.
Yeah, they're using him as an example. Now, how personal did the persecution get? I mean, they followed you. Am I right by saying that? They were tracking you? Tell us about that experience, what it's like to be followed, to be tracked.
Okay, at the first time, I directly met the policeman. At that time, I and my husband, he was my boyfriend at that time, we just walked on the street, and two cars. One is police car, and another one is I don't know, it's just a black car, just stopped around us on the street. And then maybe 6 or 7 people just took off from the car and around us. And 2 of them wear the policeman uniform. One of them asked my husband, "What's your name?" Your name is Randy. His Chinese name is Rampen. And then after they make sure my husband is the one they try to arrest, they just want to take him away. And they also want to take me away. But I'm so afraid at that time. I just said, if you don't know my name, you cannot take me away. But it's really made me so afraid of that.
Yeah.
And you know what? After I was found by the policeman and they forced me home, they guarded me, my family, 6 people with 2 dogs. They just follow us everywhere, even we just walk the dogs or for the piano lessons. And
How many weeks did that go on?
It's almost for a month. And after a month, they just tried to force me to add the government office with the WeChat friend. And they asked me to share my location and share my location anytime, anywhere.
Wow. When we were talking earlier, you mentioned that you had an adopted child.
Yes.
What was the threat that was given to you about your child?
Actually, it's not my child, it's my parents' child, so it's my younger brother. So at that time, I have another younger brother called David. He went to school in the church school. And after the persecution, he changed into the homeschool, so the government officer just spreading the news that our family is caught, and we stop sending our children to public school, and they said in this case they may send the adopted baby back to the orphanage.
Wow, so they're going to take them away. Now, have you had any contact since you've escaped with members of your church that are still in prison? Because there's still many in prison.
Yes, I have a list with 6 people. They are all church leaders, include our pastor, Pastor Wang Yi, and one elder from our church, Church Qing, and some church leaders from some friendly church with the ERCC. They're all in prisons now, and they are charged by different reasons. But we all know it's fake.
Okay, thank you for your story. Sharifah, tell us a little bit about your community, the Rohingya community, and the persecution you faced as a religious minority.
Sure. Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. As a Rohingya community, it's now we are facing genocide, but the genocide has started in 1978, a long time ago. And the reason we've been persecuted is because of our religion, Muslim, and our ethnicity, which is Rohingya. And of course, every crimes happen because of the political reason behind it. Our land have a lot of natural resources, and Chinese, as always, want it. And Myanmar military collaborate with that to educate us from the land. And because of that reason, my people have been killed, been sexually abused, the women, rape, killing, murder, arrested for no reason, putting them in prison, and make hundreds, thousands of Rohingya, force them to flee from the country and seek refuge in the neighboring countries. We have 1.1 million Rohingya refugees taking refuge in Bangladesh, which is a very crowded, small place, and there is no healthcare, there is no education, there is no clean water, their life, is in limbo. There's no hope for return. And our people still in Myanmar, which is more than 600,000 Rohingya still there, fearing every day that they will be killed, women will be raped, they will be arrested. And it's been happening, and it had not stopped.
How did this affect your family? What was it that motivated you to do something about this?
I was very young when my father had to flee from the country because of the same reason. And my mom left behind with me, my other 2 siblings. She was pregnant at that time. And after my brother was born, the problems in the country become really bad. And for a single mother to take care of 3 kids and protect herself at the same time, it was not possible. So she decided to flee from the country, with us, with other people. So we get on the boat to flee the persecutions, but my mom was arrested and in prison for 2.5 years just because she's traveling from one place to another. Rohingya are not allowed to move. Our movement been restricted. So just because she's Rohingya, Muslim, and she's been in prison for 2.5 years, separated from her children, I got separated from my other siblings, and we were just lost contact with each other. And it's not one person's story, and there's million stories of Rohingya face this kind of persecutions, but have a very different story to tell.
You were nominated a couple of years ago by the State Department as an International Woman of Courage, and you clearly are a woman of courage. What would you like to tell people that they can do to make a difference in this important issue with the Rohingya?
Sure. So the courage that I get is obviously from my parents, especially my mom, because she taught me not to give up. And I go through so much when I was young. I have to leave everything behind that I once a time I owned, which I call our homeland, which is my land, my country, my homeland. And I have to leave everything just because I'm a Rohingya. And I was born without any citizenship. My grandparents' citizenship was confiscated, and I was made as a stateless child as soon as I was born. And my name as Rohingya was snatched from me. And I was forced to leave the country and facing so many things. My life as a refugee for 21 years in Malaysia, the struggle that I face as a refugee, and seeing the continuous persecutions that my people are facing from everything, from the Burmese military, from where they are, and as a refugee, we are very resilient, I will say it. We are very hopeful that something will happen, that justice will be served, inshallah, for us. But the struggle that we face every day, and I would like to make a better place for my people, because the voice is needed. In this kind of situations, we always felt that we are left behind and that nobody here to listen to us. So I try to be the voice for my people, because I was at one time looking for the voice that's saying that it's okay, you are safe, and you can be who you are, be your voice, be confident. So I never had that. So.
That's awesome. That's worthy of a hand, is it not? Let's talk for a second. We just have a moment here left. Tell us about the importance of your faith in this struggle as you speak out. What would you like these folks to know?
Yes, actually, to be a refugee is really difficult. Sometimes I don't know if it's more difficult to be a refugee or it is more difficult to be a Christian in China. And I always ask myself why you became a refugee, why you escaped from China, because almost every members in early rain, they just stayed in Chengdu and they still bothered by the government. And why I'm sitting here, and I think maybe God just called me to share my experience and stand out, to speak out, to share my experience and to encourage more and more people to know what is happening in China. It's really a huge disaster for Christians. And please show your support to the Chinese Christians, because they are around with the lies from the government. The government called them like a cult and said them, you did wrong things, but please stand out to support them. Tell them you're right, you just has your own faith. Your typically human right and your religion freedom has to be respected. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Would you please show your gratitude to Sharifah, Shakirah, and to Ruiting. Thank you so much. Thank you.